Amanda Seales' first mistake was going to do this interview with Shannon Sharpe. For somebody who supposedly understands journalism, this platform should have been your last resort, or it should not have been even on your radar. Amanda Seales' second mistake was thinking that Shannon Sharpe had any knowledge or any awareness to be able to understand her when she's talking about her experiences with racism. I have so many questions, and I'm not sure we're going to get a lot of answers, but let's talk about it. Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on. So what's going on, you all? We got to talk about Amanda Seales' recent interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. A 3-hour interview. And apparently some things were left out, but 3 hours and a couple of minutes is a lot. And I had to sit through all of that because truly I want to understand what is going on with Amanda Seales. Like, I find her fascinating as a person who has, talked about her experiences and how people do not like her and how she is outspoken, and that may be the reason. And I think, to be honest, I think the reason why is because sometimes I feel like I am that person. Like, what is the reason why some folks do not like me and whatever, da 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 da. And I wanted to understand her. Like, I wanted to live through her and see what is going on. And I, to be honest, took a lot from this. And I think I see what is truly going on. So less than 20 minutes in this interview, we're already hearing Amanda Seales name that she has been diagnosed with autism. Now, later to come to find out, she was not clinically diagnosed, she was self-diagnosed. And Amanda Seales, being a person of her caliber and her wordplay, she's a comedic, she's a actress, like, she has all of these things. Even Shannon Sharpe took almost a minute and some change reading through all of her accolades. This person who throughout the interview, she talked about how special and how intelligent she was, did not understand how saying that I have been diagnosed with autism will come off to a group of people. When people hear someone say, hey, I've been diagnosed with said thing, people expect you to go to a doctor or a professional and they diagnose you with that. I have been diagnosed with ADHD. I was diagnosed as a child with ADHD or hyper something or whatever. My kindergarten teacher had a conversation with my parents and talked about that I do not pay attention in class and I'd be drifting off and I'd be looking outside and I just do not be as connected. And my parents took me to a doctor and, he diagnosed me. My parents never did allow me to get on medication. They just didn't believe in it at the time, and I understood their reason for it because they didn't trust doctors pushing medications, especially on black kids. Even when I talked about my experiences of ADHD, I never did say I was diagnosed because I haven't got an official diagnosis. I understand and see the symptoms and I may fit these, but I need to seek a professional, and that's what I did, and a professional diagnosed me. So if I was to ever talk about it, I will say before I got diagnosed that I looked at these symptoms and I fit a lot of these things, but I don't know, I might be, I might not be, but I need to talk to a professional. Amanda Seales, being a wordsmith, should have been able to word that better, and I think that's very telling of her character, because there are a couple of things throughout Amanda Seales' interview and also throughout her career that there is a lack of accountability that is happening repeatedly. You're not going to be friends with everybody. Just because you were friends with someone 20 years ago does not mean you're gonna be friends with them 10 years from now. Things happen, but we have to take into consideration some of the things that we may have done to put ourselves in this situation.
How old were you when you got diagnosed, and did you always feel that you was different and you felt something was wrong?
Well, what's today?
Today is Thursday, the 18th.
So 42 and however many days until I was just recently diagnosed.
Okay.
We get a response from Amanda Seales online and saying that she was self-diagnosed and that she did not want to spend $10,000 getting diagnosed or what have you or whatever. Amanda Seales is a actress. She is accomplished all of these things. I don't think that $10,000 is keeping her from getting diagnosed. I don't think. If Amanda Seales is truly seeking for understanding of why people don't like her, because the autism was brought up in the very beginning, and the autism sets the stage for Amanda Seales' experience with all of these things that has caused her grief or whatever, people not liking her, and caused her some type of, made her feel some type of way. It has set up the stage that Amanda Seales may have experienced these things because she does have autism and she's not aware of what is going on. She talked about that and later come to find out that she said she was diagnosed, but it was a self-diagnosis. And it's just not working. And now she's going at it with Shannon Sharpe. Now, I'm not a fan of Shannon Sharpe, and there is several critiques for Shannon Sharpe in this interview that jump out automatically to me, but now she's into it with Shannon Sharpe. Amanda Seales reached out to Shannon Sharpe to be on this platform. Again, Amanda Seales, as intelligent as she is, I don't understand why she thought that this was the place to have a conversation like this. Something as delicate as what she has experienced. She is sitting next to Shannon Sharpe, who is not a journalist. She went on this platform, like she sought after him to be on this platform. Now, Amanda Seales dealt with a lot of backlash recently and some bullying to me from several Black-owned Black publications wrote about her and talked about why people don't like her. I'm not the biggest fan of Amanda Seales, but Amanda Seales has not done any harm. She has not done any harm. She's not the quote-unquote female Diddy. She's not directly harmed anybody from our knowledge. We've not seen any conversations of that. It's just like run-ins, people not agreeing, da-da-da-da. And that is not harm. And I just don't think that a public call-out is necessary. But understanding how Hollywood works and, how things move, it was an abuse of power and it was just unnecessary. There have been several other specifically Black men who have done some very harmful stuff to Black women, and these publications have not been quick to write articles or pieces about that. So I'm not understanding what's going on. And Amanda Seales talked about, she had every right to talk about her experience dealing with that, and she was owning the moment. Like, people were supportive and people were like, yes, like even folks who were not fans. People who had critiques for her was like, this is not right, this is not cool, this is not da-da-da-da. Amanda Seales then starts to do what she does, and she became self-absorbed to the point that now she's doing this podcast with a person who is not a journalist, somebody who's not necessarily going to question and push back as hard on her because they are not aware of the things that have happened. Shannon Sharpe is not aware of some of the things that Amanda Seales has been called out about, particularly the conversation about her response to Samaria Rice's mother, and how she responded to Samaria Rice and defense of Shaun King, who has been called out for fraudulent behavior. So this happened some years ago. Let me read the message because it was originally on Instagram where she commented. So Tamir Rice's mother posted this on Instagram, and she basically called out Shaun King. Why do you think it's important to tell folks we had a conversation? Well, we talked and everything was said was very toxic and uncomfortable for me to hear that you raised additional money and then said you did not want to bother me. Personally, I don't understand how you sleep at night. I never gave you permission to raise nothing. Along the United States, you robbed me for the D of my son. You gave me a cop and donut conversation. All lies, Shaun. Please stop thinking we on the same page. As a white man acting Black, you are an imposter that cannot be trusted. My son, 12 years old, and DOJ needs to reopen his case, period. Tamir, human rights was violated. Why would you so ever make it about you? You are a selfish, self-centered person, and God will deal with you, white man. And this was posted on, Instagram, and Amanda Seales, posted this on the blog, who reposted it, and she said this: It's no secret that I have side-eye SK, meaning Sean King. However, bigger picture, nobody finds it somewhat odd that she, just out the blue, going out of her way and being given every platform with no receipts shown to call out one by one black activists / organizers that have been the visible faces of the movement. Just food for thought. Amanda Seales being a wordsmith, understanding language, all of the things. This is her response to a mother who lost her child. This is her response. There's no grace. There's no care. There's no anything. Amanda Seales is basically doing everything to everybody else that she's claiming folks are doing to her. There was no grace. This is someone who has lost it, who has lost her child. A lot of people cannot relate to that, especially this situation. This is a tragic event. And I'm using my words carefully because, again, this is YouTube. Amanda Seales' response was tacky. And people responded to it and they called her out. They called her out. And folks, since then, have not messed with her. They said they will never forgive her for that. And even people tweeted and said, I don't want to watch this 3-hour interview until she talks about what she did to Samaria Rice. And we saw her response to the conversation.
She was attacking Samaria Rice. What? I asked a valid question that ended up being proven, by the way. I asked a valid question. Don't we think that there's something worth questioning, and why this woman whose son was 100% unjustly killed by the police? Don't we think there's something to be said for, like, why are all these media outlets like giving her a platform to accuse all of these people that are the leaders of movements of fraud?
Not really saying much. She basically is doubling down on what she said and said that, you know, it was justified. Amanda Seales is talking about celebrity activists, grifters. That's who she's talking about. And the folks who really do the work responded and ate her up about it. And instead of taking this time on this show, because Shannon Sharpe does not know what's going on, to address it, she basically said, I was justified. It's about her. It's about her being right. And I've said this a couple of times, and I want to say it again. Sometimes for us content creators, sometimes for us with platforms and stuff who speak on things, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it's best for us to just shut up sometimes. Sometimes it's best for us to just shut up. Again, community. The same way, if I have a thought about something, I'm calling my friend Aylin. If I'm having a thought about something, I'm calling my friend Harold. If I have a thought about something, I'm calling my friend Kaveri. If I have a thought about something, I'm calling my friends who I can have these conversations with, and we go back and forth. And if I'm wrong, they're gonna tell me I'm wrong. If they agree, they push back. I am not running to have the conversation on social media because I understand I have an audience, I have a platform, and I do not want it to be received that I am being any of the things that people might take it out of context. Now, some folks still do, but I am aware of how these things work, and I have true community to have these conversations. Amanda Seales seems to not have that, because I don't want a gotcha moment in the response to a mother who has lost their child to something as violent as that. Amanda Seales said that she did not understand colorism. She thought that it worked in reverse. I want to know how recent this is, because there are a couple of people who I follow and respect who talk about colorism and anti-blackness that she has had blocked in response to them critiquing her about her conversations around colorism. Amanda Seales is a light-skinned woman with straight, curly hair. And that matters. That matters. And I think that Amanda Seales is still thinking that reverse colorism exists, even a little bit. I know folks who will say, well, I actually dated somebody who said that there's no such thing as reverse colorism, but then went on to describe reverse colorism. Amanda Seales is not going to do that. But the way she is speaking about her experiences and even when we're talking about the treatment from Issa Rae, it doesn't sit right for me. Again, I don't know Amanda Seales. I don't know Issa Rae. I can't say that Issa Rae did not do these things or wasn't, mean or whatever. I don't know. When I see Issa Rae on Instagram, social media, whatever, she is laughing. One thing Issa Rae gonna do is laugh. She's gonna smile. She's gonna show them beautiful teeth. Period. And I was listening to Amanda Seales talk about her experience with Issa Rae. She talked about Issa Rae having this website where she had a show on, and that she had the show on Issa Rae's website. And when people talked about it, they said it was Issa Rae's show, and Amanda Seales said she reached out to Issa Rae and said, hey, Issa, can you say that this is not your show? Can you let them know? And she said Issa told her no. It may have happened, period. There's other things that Amanda Seales is talking about with her treatment on Insecure. She's talked about nobody on the show really liking her. She talked about one of the people on the show had a child with somebody on the show, and that people were talking behind this person's back, and she had to put them to the side and say, hey, you need to take care of this because folks are talking behind your back, and they're saying some stuff. And she said, the guy told her, like, I appreciate you for keeping it real. And she said that this person ended up siding with the folks who did not like her and critique on her and all of the things. Then she goes on, she talks about the famous incident that everybody's been talking about. Then she goes on to tell us the story that she said a couple of times about her not getting into this Emmys party, this Black Emmys party. And the party is being thrown by Issa Rae's publicist, Vanessa. And she said that, Vanessa told her that she wasn't on the list, like she's not gonna come in, da 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 da. And Issa, told Amanda, like, girl, don't bring me in it. Like, Amanda asked her, what's going on? You need to have a conversation with us because your girl do not like me. And Issa said, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I can honestly, I can see somebody saying that, like, girl, I ain't getting in there. Which tells me there might be some other stuff that's going on, that's something that, like, hey, I think this not going either way. Both y'all just don't like each other. I'm not gonna be exhausting myself doing that work. Like, girl, y'all do that. Amanda also shares the story of her, being assaulted by the bouncer who is kicking her out, and she wants to know why she was, kicked out, and that bouncer should have never put his hands on her, point blank, period. Point blank, period. I think my thing is I'm not going into a place that someone is telling me I'm not invited. I'm not. Even if a friend said, hey, girl, come on to the party, da, da, da. I am listening to Amanda Seales tell this story, and she said she's walking off, she's leaving, and that the person is, checking in and da, 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 and comes back and get her. I want to know, if I'm not going, I'm like, girl, they ain't let me in, I'm leaving. I'm not forcing my way into a place where a person has told me I'm not, like, and this is not like a diner that is refusing Black folks. This is not it's not one of those, this is not a heel for me to, well, they don't like me. Okay, I don't want to be in this place. I don't. But Amanda Seales should have never experienced it with their bouncer or whatever. She said she had a conversation with Issa Rae's publicist, Vanessa. And Vanessa called her and she tried to tell Amanda, like, girl, the reason why I ain't, let you in because I don't like you. Amanda said she hangs up the phone, and, homegirl calls back, Vanessa calls back and says, girl, you don't want to know, like, what's going on? And Amanda says she don't, like, you need to talk to your therapist and da 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 da. For me, and I understand, like, she experienced the stuff with the bouncer and all that other stuff, like being assaulted, whatever the story that she has shared about that. When somebody says, like, they don't like me or something like that, like, there are some folks who don't like me. There's some folks who do not like me. And I have an idea why they don't. And I will say, okay, it must be this or da da da, but I will still be curious of what was it. Because people will say that they don't, and then when they have to name necessarily what it is, they can't really name something that was harmful. They can't, like, I don't like it, such and such, like, and I always come back to, that's okay. I'm not for everybody. Like, I'm just not, and that's okay. It's not enough of these folks who do not like me to keep me from doing what I'm doing. Obviously, there are a lot of people who do enjoy me. I have a nice, decent sized following on every platform. Even TikTok, and I don't even really use it like that. So I'm not going to be worried about the small percentage of folks who do not like me. I'm not going to be hyper focused on these people. Amanda Seales seems to do that. She seems to do that a lot. And Amanda Seales is very accomplished. She's right now on a tour, a comedy tour. She has bookings all the way until the middle of August. She has had a special on HBO. She has had a book. She's probably working on another book. She has had plenty of things. It doesn't look like that she's going without food, shelter. She's able to purchase her mother a house. She's taking care of her mother. I'm just not understanding what is going on and why we so hyper focused on these people who don't. Amanda Seales every 6 months or every year is on a podcast talking about her experiences of people not liking her. And I need for her to let it go. And I get that misogynoir exists. I get it. How Shannon Sharpe engaged with her and dismissed her conversations about her experience with race, dealing with kids. Shannon Sharpe was getting frustrated because he is a person that is not here for the conversations about race. He's like, people, I'm starting to like call it what it is. Like people who like, oh, here y'all go again. They're already tired of it. Because for somebody like me, even if it's something that might jump out the window, I'm like, let me hear you out. Let me hear what you're saying. I'm not dismissing. I'm like, let me hear. These folks don't want to because it's already too much. Like y'all bring it up, the race card. They do that. The conversation that I had about like Beyonce and Sacred and stuff, that showed us everything how people feel about texturism, futurism, all the things. I did a whole video about that. Shout out to y'all for watching and commenting. People were already annoyed. They did not. But when I read the tweets and stuff that were called out, I was like, homegirl might have a point. I thought originally receiving everybody's comment on it, I thought that it was out the way. But I said, let me see for myself. Let me really, because I want to understand, even if somebody is jumping out the window, how often do we see someone say something and then 20, 30 years later, it's like, oh wow, folks have been writing and talking about this. This anti-intellectual stuff that is going on is starting to jump out. Like it jumps out so much. So when Amanda Seales is dealing with someone who is about to tell her, this is the reason, I just don't see why she didn't want to listen to it. I don't understand it. I feel like there is more missing from the conversation. And I don't think we will ever get that other piece because these folks are not finna like come out and say anything. Like these folks are doing good. Like the folks that Amanda Seales are calling out, you know, they don't have to be held accountable to talk about this. They don't. They're not finna come and do no podcast. They're not finna ruin their image and their brand talking about this. And it seems as though Amanda Seales is in the right because she's the only one talking. I'll give you an example of another light-skinned person who's doing all the talking and people think that he's winning a rap beef right now. Amanda Seales is doing all the talking and she's still not really getting it. Like she's still not getting it. Again, the conversation about her dealing with the racist kids, like Shannon Sharpe didn't understand what kids are kids. Like again, Shannon Sharpe is that person who is not, he's not interested in coming, like he's tired. Even when Shannon Sharpe pushes back and says that, oh, all the folks online like that, that's all people online doing, in response to Samaria Rice's mother, Samaria Rice, she should have shut that down. She should have shut that down. Like, hey, that's not what it is. And she did a little bit, but Shannon Sharpe doesn't, again, have the capacity to talk about these things. Does not. He was not even aware of it. He is responding to a woman who has lost her child. And he automatically, oh, they're just supposed on the internet because everybody hating on each other. It's like, no, everybody's not hating on each other. Like, we want to make these social media platforms like Twitter and stuff, like folks commenting and giving opinions like, oh, everybody's mad and stuff on Twitter. Everybody is not mad. Everybody is talking. And we are consuming millions, not even millions, honestly, but some way, shape, or form, hundreds of thousands of folks talking at any given moment. Opinions. Twitter was created for that, for us to have opinions, for us to talk. I don't understand how folks are upset at folks having opinions. You all are creating content, podcasts, for us to listen to, but you do not want us to be critical of it or whatever. It happens. I have had my videos critiqued and whatever. It is what it is. Part of the conversation. You either take it or you leave it. That's why when I put out my content, it's finalized. I am making sure before I get in front of this camera that I know what I'm talking about. And if I did misspeak or say something that didn't make sense, I don't mind being, pulled back in. And she is sitting next to somebody who doesn't understand these things. I want to go back to the Issa Rae conversation because she made a comment about protecting Issa. She's not protecting Issa anymore.
So I've never talked about this publicly because it has always been incredibly important to me to protect Issa. Because I know that Issa is doing something within this business that so few people get to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not something I desire to do. Like, I'm not interested in getting a $100 million production deal. Like, that's not a life that I want for myself. But I know that her role is very important. And so I've always protected Issa. However, there's just been enough instances at this point where I should have been protected by Issa and I wasn't.
I'm really confused at Amanda Seales saying that she's protecting Issa, and she's been talking about this for how long? And the way she's centering herself in this conversation of protecting Issa is telling us, like, what is the purpose? Like, it's still on her. Like, I am the one doing this, da da da. It's always about her. I'm protecting Issa. And no way did we find out or learn anything that really could have been, quote unquote, damaging to Issa. So what is she protecting her from? And are you protecting her in this very moment? You're not. You're even talking about the need to protect her. So it is quite literally the opposite. And the way Amanda Seales used protecting Issa, you would think that Issa has done something very harmful to the point that, oh my gosh, like if this information comes out, it can be devastating, da da da. How often have we heard women be in situations or whatever and say that they were protecting their image of their husbands or whatever? How often have we seen that? Like, like it came off like she was saying she's protecting her from some tea coming out. All the stuff that Amanda Seales is naming isn't no harmful stuff. Has Amanda Seales been blackballed? A conversation. I don't feel like she's been blackballed. Amanda Seales has had a lot of success. She's been dealing with, a lot of things. She's had plenty of things go on. She's on tour. She's doing this and that. I don't think she's been blackballed. I think that Amanda Seales feels as though she's supposed to be bigger than what she is, and she's supposed to have even more opportunities. And I will say this, and Amanda Seales, I say this in a very respectful way, I do think that you have some talent. I think that you definitely are funny. I definitely think that you have the charisma, but there are a lot of other folks who are excelling you in that department. I think you're good. And I think, unfortunately, that you looking the way you do look makes you feel as though you are deserving of these things more than other folks. And I think that is in itself a conversation about how colorism shows up and how certain folks believe certain things because of they've been told. Amanda Seales was on My Brother and Me, one of my favorite shows growing up when I was a child. I watched it. And Amanda Seales being on there playing the character of, like, I think she was the sister, if I'm not mistaken, and the two boys. I watched that show, and as a child, I thought to myself that these kids don't look like me, but this is like, I'm glad that they're black. Like, I knew that texturism was a thing at a very early age, being raised by a dark-skinned mother who has experienced colorism in her, life, period, I understood things. Like I understood like, wow, like, and I also had a brother who had the same texture of hair as the folks on the show. And Amanda Seales talks about she did really good for the part. She excelled, like she's excelling. And I never hear Amanda Seales necessarily, and I wish she talked about it more, that sometimes you do get picked because of colorism. Sometimes you get seen because of colorism. Because of that. Like, yes, you are talented, but you're being seen because of your color of your skin. We cannot remove that. You can be talented. There are other folks who are talented too, but they're not seen because of how colorism, desire, and anti-blackness shows up. You have benefited from colorism all of your life. You were a child actress from the beginning, all these things. I feel like that your experiences with all these things is the reason why you're having some of these issues, because you have benefited from colorism for so long that I feel like that you're not used to being told necessarily no. I don't think, and I've had conversations about this in the past. I want you all to think about how many times we've seen folks get online and they talk about them being single and how long they have been single, and the reasons that they say they should not be single is because they are attractive and da-da-da. Think about Miss Netta. Think about how people have responded to Miss Netta and Charles being in a relationship and saying that if Miss Netta can find love, I know I can. What am I doing wrong? And it's oftentimes people who are desirable, like having that conversation, because their belief is that being desirable is enough to be in a relationship. Like that is all that matters. Like I am being chosen. Like why am I not being chosen? And this is why we have conversations about desirability, because it shows up outside of the bedroom and it shows up in real life. And I feel like that it shows up in Amanda Seales and her experiences. I think, again, Amanda Seales does not take into account of what she has done sometimes. And I think that's telling on her. Everything can't be everybody. I've not heard Amanda Seales talk about what she may have done wrong to put herself in a situation, or how she made somebody feel who doesn't mess with her. She's not talking about that. You've been having experiences like this since you were young. People are not like your teacher, not like you. And I get it. I had some teachers who didn't mess with me, dealt with a racist teacher, dealt with a homophobic teacher. I've dealt with it, I get it. But there's some teachers who loved me and who da-da-da-da. And there was some things that I was doing that's why they don't mess with me. Like I did this and that, and they just ain't really feeling it, and they can not choose to mess with me. Like that just is what it is. But Amanda Seales doesn't understand that, and I think she does not understand that because she has not been told no that many times. Like how often do we think about when folks who work harder? Like I think automatically about one of my favorite animes, Naruto. Naruto grew up like, messed up. Like he didn't have family, he was just a throwaway. And he wasn't very talented. This is an anime character. He wasn't very talented. He had to keep working and keep pushing himself. He didn't get it right the first time. And I think about folks who are always told yes, who are always seen, and they're so used to that when somebody else is excelling, they don't understand why, like they can't get it. I think about folks who excelled in high school, who went to college and could not do it. Like could not do it because they were really pushed. They really struggled because they were used to being the top of the class. They were used to being the one that knows everything. And they can't deal with the fact that they don't. And Amanda Seales, no shade, comes off like Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, no shade. Like she comes off like Hermione. And she talked about being Miss Know-It-All and all the other stuff. And I think that it's not necessarily Amanda Seales dealing with being Miss Know-It-All and all the other stuff. I think it is, colorism. I think that how folks receive her and been around her, and she has this complex about herself. We all feel like we are, all of us should feel like we are good, all the other stuff, like, period. But I think that it's different for people like Amanda Seales, who are always used to being the chosen person, the desired person in the room, who has benefited from colorism. And I don't think that Amanda Seales has taken that into account. I don't think she's taken how she moves. Yes, people do not like loud black women. They don't. They really don't like loud dark-skinned black women. They literally do not like loud, fat, dark-skinned women unless they're making jokes about themselves. So I do think that, of course, misogynoir plays into how folks critique and how they respond to Amanda Seales. And I also think that Amanda, and I know that Amanda Seales benefits from colorism. So her experiences, although she is experiencing anti-blackness and misogyny, she still benefits from being light-skinned. And I don't think that in some of these situations, she's being truly honest about some things that she may have done. Again, I don't agree with folks writing articles and pieces and stuff about her, but I think for some people, the response to the Samaria Rice situation made people be over her. I think things like the Samaria Rice situation is one of the reasons why folks, are just not messing with you, sister. I think that is telling of your character, and people don't have to mess with you after that. They just do not. People do not have to come back and support you after you've done something like that. And you could have took this time on this show to, have a conversation about it and apologize, truly apologize and atone for it. And you did not do that. And I think you did not do that because of your inflated ego. That's all I got. I am done talking about this. Tell me what y'all think about the conversation. Did y'all watch the interview? Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk y'all later.